welcome to another Shushoku Cafe video. Today we are talking about writing a book. If you are interested in this is fascinating. All right, so we are going to talk about all different aspects of it. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Kasha from Ikigai Connections. I run the Nihongo Jobs job board, and here is my co-host.
Hi everybody, this is Takeshi of KQSA. We are a Japanese recruiting company, but we also support Japan-related community in here as well. And today we have a great guest, DC-san here. He has so many different experiences, but one of his strong experience is writing the book. So, DC-san, can you explain a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. Thank you, Takashi-san and Kasha-san, for having me on today and giving me a chance to talk about my books. There's nothing writers like to talk about more than their books. If you ever get two writers together, the first thing they say is, "What's your writing process?" So that's all. The first question you should always ask a writer is, "What's your writing process?" Anyway, so I've always been a writer, but I was also an engineer, so I'm mostly focused on engineering. But then that got me into technical marketing, which allowed me to write, use my creative side at the same time as the engineering side. Ended up in Japan, working for Kobe Seiko as a research engineer, and around me, I was studying, Japanese for busy people, or one of the other Japanese books, and that's not how people were talking. It was driving me crazy. So I made my own little dictionary of all these words that weren't in the dictionary. This was before the internet. This was during bubble years, and so I had my own little dictionary of Kansai Ben. And I started putting it together, and I started learning the words, and I thought, well, maybe some other people could actually benefit from this as well. So I kind of put together this idea. I went to Tuttle. I think your readers all know who Tuttle is, and they're like, "Yeah, this would be great." So it took a couple of years after that, but we finally came out with colloquial Kansai Japanese. So if you're in Osaka or Kyoto or Kobe, this is what you need to learn, because you won't find any of this in your Japanese for busy people textbook or your Genki Japanese textbook. This is what you need. So that was my claim to fame for a long time. Hey, I was the person who wrote the Kansai Ben book. And it sold a lot of copies. And that's been great. But what I really enjoy is writing stories, short stories and novels. I've had some short stories published over the years. Actually, another thing I'm very proud of, and I have to bring this up. In Los Angeles, we have a Japanese area called Little Tokyo. Mm-hmm. And there's a Little Tokyo short story contest every year, and I hope people will enter it. $500 prize for best story in English, best story in Japanese, and best story by a writer who's under 18, youth category. So one year I entered in the English category, the easiest one for me, and I won. Yay! So won the prize for best short story about Little Tokyo. And then the next year I said, well, I need a real challenge. So I wrote one in Japanese with my wife's help. So the two of us together. So I'm the only person who's won the Little Tokyo fiction contest in English and Japanese. But of course, my wife helped with that.
Wow.
So I enjoy writing. And after I sold my last business, I had some free time. I said, well, what do I want to do? So I want to work in startups, but I also want to spend some time writing. So I went back. I actually got an MFA, Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing at a local university. They gave me a chance to actually work on writing and critiquing and reading every day. And at the end of it, I had a novel called To Kill a Unicorn, which is about the Japanese American community in Silicon Valley. Okay. So the main character is a hacker. His name, and this community will get it. His name is Ted Hara, which that's his English name. His Japanese name is Hara Hatsu. So Hara Tatsu. Because his mother was always okotteru.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he's a hacker, and his girlfriend's brother is missing, and so who works at a startup and starts developing teleportation, and so he has to find out what's going on in this crazy startup company. So it kind of mixes everything with Silicon Valley and startups with a lot of stuff with Japanese culture. There's a lot of ramen in the story and a lot of sake, and so the idea for that was, a typical mystery novel. There's a detective who drinks whiskey, right? They always drink whiskey. Well, my character drinks sake, and that's because I love sake too. So then that became the follow-up book, Countdown to Decryption. Same character, Haratatsu, but his girlfriend's friend is murdered, and he has to find out what's going on, and it turns into a whole government conspiracy. A little bit of a different style, a little less comedy, more suspense, more of a techno thriller.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Third novel, which is actually set in Japan. So it's about a sake tour of Niigata, and on the first night of the tour, their welcome dinner, they have this wonderful feast at an onsen of fugu. And then after eating the fugu, one of the people in the tour dies. So was it an accident or was it murder? Well, of course, it's a murder mystery, so we know it was murder. And it had to have been one of the other people in the tour. So it's all these foreigners who came to Japan for a sake tour. So book is full of sake and full of it's got life in Niigata is where it takes place. So the title is kind of half Agatha Christie and half Kawabata, Murder on the Snow Country Express. Because they're actually on a train going through Niigata.
Okay, interesting.
So, looking for a publisher for that one. So if anyone in this group here is listening and is a publisher or an agent, give me a call because it's a great book.
All right. I have several questions. So first of all, it sounds easy for you to write down so many first conceiving, first this fiction, first this. But I think so many audience who is listening today is, I want to write the book, but don't know how to start writing the book or something like that. So you said you took some classes as well, but did you take a class before that, or you've been keep writing by yourself?
I took classes in high school, in college, a long time ago, but you don't need classes. What you need to do is read a lot and write, and then find other writers to share your work with and critique and get feedback, so you can go back and write them again. So yeah, you said it sounds easy, but writing it's art, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And so writing a bad book is easy, but writing a good book that you're proud of is, at least for me, is really, really tough. And so this book took 2 years to write. Yeah, 2 years. Went through 7 drafts before it was done. Threw it away. Had like 200 pages finished. Threw it away. Wrote another 200 pages. Didn't work. Couldn't get to an ending. Had to throw it away. Took bits and pieces. Made a 3rd version that worked. But then, like a lot of stuff. So it ended up with 7 drafts before I had a final publishable version. Second book, I kind of had an outline of what I wanted to do to start with. So I wrote the whole thing, basically working full time. It still took a year. So it's a year of tearing your hair out. Of like, my wife knows when I'm writing, stay far away because I'm screaming at the computer. I'm screaming at myself. I'm literally tearing my hair out. I'm banging on the table, and like it terrifies her. She's like, "Calm down, DC." Like, no, it's driving me crazy. I can't find the right words. The sentences aren't working. The paragraphs aren't making sense, and the story is falling apart. Yeah. So, every writer has their own process of what works, what doesn't work, and there's no one. no writer has come up with something that they will tell you, yes, this is the way it's going to work, because it never does.
Okay, that's good to know, because
Yeah.
I always think like how to start, and how to go to the classes. And your answer is doesn't need it, but you have to have so many writers. But read a lot, write a lot,
I do
and then
recommend
share the
like
information, the
start out
feedback.
with short stories, right?
Mhm.
Writing a novel, I mean, even if you're a fast writer, it's going to be 3 to 6 months. You can write a short story in a week, and then you can get some, even a day, right? And you get some feedback, and you can rewrite it. You have to throw it away, it doesn't matter. You can, and so it's a really good way of getting some practice and getting some understanding of how to write and how to build characters and how to build a plot and how to get feedback and how to rewrite and edit, and you can do that in a much more compact form than a novel, which just is so big and so long.
Another thing is that you mentioned about the publisher, and that's going to
Yeah.
be like a different topic. Would like to know like how to find a publisher or self-publishing, and then also it might be different. Like in
Yes.
US and in Japan, it might be different
Yes.
as well. So can you explain like how to do it, and also differences between US and Japan?
Right. Okay. So fiction and nonfiction are just very, very different. And same thing for writing style, fiction and nonfiction. So fiction is about a story, right? And so it's all made up in your head, and you kind of have to go off in your own head, in your own world. And it's about the beauty of the language and the characters and everything else. When you're writing something like locally or Kansai Japanese, it's about the information. You have to write it well, but you don't need to be consistent. You doesn't have to worry about plot holes. You don't have to worry about using the best, most poetic language everywhere. So it's really about your expertise in getting the information down in an informative and interesting way, which is very different from fiction writing. The publishing side as well, even though they're the same publishers, well, like Tuttle is a good example, basically only publishes nonfiction and translations, right? They generally don't publish, unique novels. And so that's kind of their focus. So you write a book about Japan, Japanese culture, Japanese world, Japanese tourism. There's a very small number of publishers that are going to be the right publisher for it. So Tuttle, Kodansha, Stonebridge Press are probably your main choices. And then there's some others that, if you're really, really famous, will publish anything you write. And then there's so those are the big to medium-sized publishers. The other thing you can do is self-publish nowadays. So the world is kind of divided up into what they call traditional publishers, which are your big medium to medium-sized publishers that are, when you think of publisher, that's what you think about, right? Like a Random House or like a Tuttle or Scribner or somebody like that. You go to a bookstore, they're going to have those books. They actually print them. And then on the other side is, well, I can write it. I can put it into Amazon software, and then Amazon can publish it for me. And that's all I need. I need a text, I need a Word document, I need a cover, and I can publish it. And then I can go out and find my own readers. And that's pretty easy to do. It's easy to publish. It's very difficult to find readers, but it's easy to publish. And then there's kind of this middle area of either hybrid press or small press. So these two books were published by a publisher originally called Panda Moon, and they focused on genre fiction. So mystery, horror, and romance. They're kind of their own world and kind of have their own set of readers. And so that's what they published. And they would do the editing. They would do the what do you call it? All the logistics of getting it set up. They would take care of the printing, but they didn't do the marketing, and that's the toughest part. Now, with a big press, typically you will get a 10% royalty on any sale. So they keep 90%, you get 10%. That's the way it works. Now, if you're Stephen King, you can negotiate a little your own thing, but for a newbie, that's typically what you get. The other extreme, you publish yourself. Well, Amazon takes I don't know what it is, like a 40% cut, but then the rest is yours, right? It's your book. You're the publisher. The press is in the middle. It's kind of a little bit of everything. My deal I'm not allowed to talk about, but it was pretty much they keep everything and I get a royalty. But they didn't get me into bookstores and they didn't get me into they didn't find the readers for me. So it was very difficult for me to invest in marketing because they would keep anything that I sold, they would keep most of it. So it ended up not working out very well. They went out of business, and so then I had to self-publish it. And so these have just been reprinted. They're now published. They're now self-published under my own publishing company called Super Duper Publishing, which is basically just my name. So yeah, I had to go off and get them republished, but at least now I have control over them. And if people buy them, I actually get some money from it. Not much, but before I wasn't getting anything. So this is better.
Oh, so now you're a publisher as well.
So now I'm a publisher of my own books. So I wouldn't call myself a publisher, but so I'm self-published is what most people would call it.
So maybe one day, if I want to write some book,
so yeah, if you have a book,
publish.
I'll publish it for you in Super Duper Publishing, and then I will be a publisher too.
Okay.
I'll give you 10%, and I'll keep 90% myself. Then I'll really be a publisher.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Now Japan, I don't know as well. I mean, Tuttle is kind of a Japanese company, but they're kind of an American company too. Now, the nice thing about Japan, people read more in Japan. Especially fiction, but there's bookstores everywhere in Japan. It's wonderful. Every train station has a bookstore next to it, and they're full of people, and it's full of books, and people are buying books and they're reading books. It's just not as much in the US, and books are a lot cheaper in Japan, right? Paperback in Japan costs 10 yen daitai. Here nowadays, part of its exchange rate is so crazy, but this book is $15, so that's 2,500 yen for paperback. So yeah, my Japanese friends looked at it and said, "Why is that so expensive?" I'm like, well, because that's the U.S. price, and you're paying U.S. prices. But the volumes in Japan are much higher. The books are small, they're nice and compact, but they're much more affordable, and people read a lot more.
Okay, yeah. I like a lot buying the book, but I didn't finish most of them. So but I agree. Like there's so many bookshops. I always stop by. Oh, I want to read it. And
so, what is everyone's favorite word? Sundoku.
Us.
Oh.
Book you buy all these books and you can't read them all.
Yeah.
That was the word of the year, I think, in Japan last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, for a collection of books that you too many books to read.
Yeah. So that's exactly expressing by myself.
Yes.
Okay. Kesha-san, do you have any questions or you want to ask something?
No, I think this is fantastic. Oh, DC, you have shared a wealth of information. And I know that if anybody out there is interested in, like even just learning about what it's like to publish, and I had no idea there's such a difference between fiction and nonfiction. So really hope that this video was helpful. If anybody's ikigai or their dream is to write any kind of
Be a
book,
writer.
definitely check out DC's.
Be a writer.
We'll have links to your books. We'll have links to your LinkedIn. So definitely check out the books and maybe pick up a copy from Super Duper Publishing. Is that what it was?
Please. Yes.
So thank you again so much for joining us. And thank you everybody for watching. We will see you on the next Shushoku Cafe. Bye.
Bye.